We're live.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to yet another edition, another episode in the ongoing struggles of faith and the trials of the City of Dark Miracles. Yes, you are welcomed to Montreal by night. We're going to begin our scene tonight at the Heart. It is the club and somewhat of a haven to one of Montreal's most eldritch and most notorious packs, the Widows. However, upon this night, one Jacob Burns had made his way there. He summarily had knocked upon its entrance door and was let in, being a somewhat frequent guest unto the Widows. But Jacob wasn't shopping for what the Widows were necessarily selling. He was there just to get away from things, all the troubles that has currently been bothering him with Little Burgundy, Point St. Charles. He needed a place to relax, take it easy for a while. And Jacob, coming to a place that he knew was, well, under the management of like kind, he felt comfortable coming to the Widows, who have always been gracious to accept him. And in this particular frame of time, Jacob just meanders about, taking a look into the crowd. He finds himself and his thoughts just drifting of future plots and plans and what war is on the horizon that is to come. And from this perspective, we're going to shift gears as yet another Cainite, a new arrival into Montreal, just happens to be following a lead that brings her here to, well, the very heart of the city.
Varya's entrance to the club, while itself isn't terribly flashy, is met with several turning heads. She is quite the looker, though it's apparent that all of her attempts to be a bit undercover with this mission have failed. While in search of the Widows, she is swept into the bar area and sort of takes a seat, trying to just brush away anybody that's attempting to garner her attention for more than a few minutes. No, I'm sorry, I'm here to meet a friend. Sorry, you're very kind, sir. Please just... And she'll just shove them.
This one particular person, a gentleman, I take it, well, perhaps a man not being too much of a gentleman, you can easily tell that he has had a little bit too much to drink. He forgets himself and isn't cognizant of how his outward appearance is, well, not to best of par. His voice elevates ever so slightly as he tries to repair this social faux pas that he's made upon your presence when it catches the attention of Jacob. The irritation of this man's poor game is just vexing him and breaking his mood. He'll rebutton his suit jacket and begin to approach the bar where you stand. We'll put a hand on the gentleman and subtly dominate him, tell him, "Sir, just leave her alone." And you'll see, from your point of view, you could probably see that the man's face just kind of goes blank. Staring out into a distance, he'll nod. Stopping in mid-sentence, he'll turn around and just go offwheres else into another corner of the heart. Jacob will turn to you and, immediately struck by your very rare beauty, Jacob will offer you a hand. "I'm sorry about that. Some of these people just don't have any manners. The name is Burns. Jacob Burns. I hope you're having yourself a good evening.
Leave and seems a bit impressed, though the application of dominate seems to have flown way over her awareness zero head. She looks up to him, and while the other people she sort of brushed away, she figures she can entertain him for just a moment, if not only for his kindness. She takes his hand and shakes it, and she smiles, speaking in a light Russian accent. Hello. Thank you very much. I wasn't sure how to get him to leave.
Well, I could tell you, as long as you don't break anything or anyone, you can be just a little rough with them if necessary. I know the management themselves often have to.
Yes, I was actually looking for the management. Do you know around what time they come here?
Usually they are around, but I think business has them elsewhere. I've knocked upon their door, but I have received no answer.
Pity. I had some business to discuss with them.
Oh, business. I'm a businessman myself. They are, well, we are acquaintances. What kind of business are you into? Perhaps I can lend you a hand.
I heard about a couple of conflicts of interest in the city, and this group of women and I seem to be on the same side of these conflicts.
You see Jacob kind of looking you up and down. He's kind of studying you for a moment. So, I suppose you've come to find your sisters in order to help them out of this conflict. And you can hear that Jacob stresses the word sisters as if he's putting a emphasis on it.
Yes, you could call them sisters. We are family, though more distant. You could say we are from the same clan.
Yes, they are sisters of mine in a way. I try to give them my brotherly care and compassion when I can. Though we are family in a sense of a certain type of fraternity, an allegiance to a common cause. My own tribe, clan, if you will. We are affiliated, but not part of their franchise.
Oh, so perhaps our clans know each other. Our She's not really sure where to proceed and sort of looks around and says, would you be interested in taking this conversation somewhere safer?
Jacob will nod. Always. It wouldn't be safe for a lady like yourself to walk alone, and you seem to be quite affable. Effiable. I think I mispronounced that word. Effiable. Yeah, Jacob will grab his coat and his hat, and he'll proceed to the door, opening it for you, and yeah, you lead the way.
Alright, she'll grab her coat and sort of wander towards somewhere where there aren't a whole lot of prying ears. Considering she doesn't know the lay of the land, she's clearly not going anywhere in specific.
Well,
So,
the door to the club is within the alley that's adjacent to it. So you could choose if you wish to go a little further down the alleyway. Perhaps just perhaps just no one is in the alley. If you wanted to choose that path.
All right, yeah. She'll lead him down the alley and sort of stop halfway between either end of it and say, "So, this will be very embarrassing if I'm wrong, but I'm assuming you're a Canaanite, yes?"
You assume correct, and you
Ah,
assume to call me Canaanite. That's good. It is often troublesome, these first meetings within public. Certain displays of powers are able to give away the signature and legacy of one's own breeding. Although, it doesn't help for mortal prying eyes.
no, it doesn't. I'm trying to attune myself to this sort of thing, but, well, some of our powers are more subtle than others.
Hmm. Hmm. That is indeed. I suppose I am afflicted with the bane of an unsubtle power once it's manifested.
Oh, what is that?
Jacob will take a step back, leaning against the wall of an alley, and we'll see him just kind of nod his head up, cocking it, kind of indicating for you to turn around and take a look.
All right, she'll do so.
Um, you'll begin to see, spending a blood point for this, you'll begin to see your own shadow that is cast against the alleyway. It will start to kind of, it will come alive and be animated against your own still movement. There you are looking upon it, but it actually almost peels off the wall and kind of, you can't make out a face, but you can tell that it's trying to turn to you as it walks beside Jacob and kind of just leans across his chest as much as its incorporeal being can.
She'll just nod, and this is obvious enough for her to be like, "Oh, so you're La Sombra."
Jacob nods. In the flesh, my dear, in the cold, dead flesh.
Interesting. I've only met one La Sombra before.
Hmm. Oh, a brother and sister, I hope.
Yes, of course, one of us.
And you, if I may be so bold. Hmm. Jacob's looking you up and down, studying you. Your striking appearance really is what really catches him. Well, I'm going to take a guess, saying by the accent and your striking beauty, if you're not a Shimisi, I'm going to guess you're perhaps somewhere within the higher bloods. That true Toreador, perhaps? Am I getting close?
She'll smile and sort of give a very ostentatious bow, clearly the kind of bow you'd give at the end of a performance, and smile. Varya Lestotchka of Clan Toreador, at your service.
Varya. Very interesting name. Very interesting name. And me, as I've said, Burns. Lord Jacob Burns.
You wouldn't happen to be the same Lord Burns who is Ductus of C Apex?
You see that Jacob raises an eyebrow. Have I already have a reputation? Interesting. Yes, that would be me. How have you come to know of me?
You're on my list of Canaanites to visit while I'm here. The Archbishop, she directed me towards you. She directed me towards the widows as well.
Ah, well, this has been a fortunate night for you. That the Archbishop, Her Excellency, has directed you towards me, I can only assume that it is to aid you in some way. What is troubling you, sister? How may Lord Burns be of help?
Well, actually, I've come to assist the city. I came here originally as pilgrimage in order to learn more about the paths of our kind, but I was surprised to hear that the city was fighting a few wars.
You'll,
As
I'm sorry, go on.
as one of your fellow Sabbat members, it would simply be improper of me to not assist in any way I can.
You see, Jacob step from the wall, and your shadow that he brought to life, it coalesces and goes back to its natural place in the world, being back where it should be naturally casted along the wall beside you. You can see a very serious, grim look on Jacob's face. He almost kind of looks away at you as he places his hands behind his back and begins to pace. Well, one more soldier from Cain is a blessing. But indeed, sister, you have come at quite an interesting time in Montreal. Lady Boswell, Her Excellency, she's being very kind to say a few wars. Wars. Well, that's a simple thing. You can see the enemy, you can find the enemy, you can shoot them in the face, and there they are, dead. What we're up against is something far more insidious, I believe at least. Well, which war to start first? See Jacob kind of look up at the stars. Sister, we have this company, I suppose, that's here in Montreal. They're called Magadan Quebec. They're a global company. Mostly deal in pharmaceuticals, medicine, things like that. Things far beyond me. But this is a company that has been acquainted with our kind. And I'm not just talking about us as Cainites. Their spokesman, and this is a name you come to know well, a Mr. Anthony Knox. Their spokesman told myself and, well, the former Ductus of the Apex that he has dealt with kindred in his own previous travels. You do understand the technical difference between a Cainite and a kindred, yes?
Well, the Canaanites are like us. I'm afraid I don't know much about the kindred, so.
Well, it's a matter of cultures. We, the Sabbat, are Cainites. For some reason, the fawning, mewling sheeps of the Camarilla wish to call themselves kindred, disavowing the very existence of our namesake, our father Cain. So, when Mr. Anthony Knox says that he's dealt with kindred, either his etiquette is not up to par, or he has never truly dealt with Cainites before. This is a man who has dealt with vampires of the Camarilla sort. To me, personally, that makes him dangerous. Valuable, but dangerous. Inside of his head, there's names and places of our rivals. Names and places of other Cainites. Well, correct me. Other kindred whom may very well be sporting targets necessary for destruction. At the same time, he could also easily sell what secret he comes to learn of us to them. Do you see the security issue here?
I do, yes. What is the plan to deal with him?
Personally, I'd just as soon as run into that building and burn it down myself. Unfortunately, their main headquarters, it is very sophisticated, and we had one sister infiltrate the place, taking a very thorough examination of each floor. Varya, there are things in that building that are beyond the mortal concerns of a corporate entity. We had a report that there is some kind of beast that can talk there. One brother had correlated this sister's experience with a particular experience he had with her. We think that perhaps Anthony Knox may be a servant of the Setites. However, in his own capacity, he has already employed 2 lupines, and these lupines reside here now in the city. Have you ever seen a lupine?
I've only heard stories.
Yes, so have I. And yet these lupines are very different. I converse with them. I talk with them. I've dealt with them. They seem to be capable of dealing with our kind, which is far from the legends that I normally hear surrounding their appetite for our destruction. However, they are not necessarily friendly or amiable. These 2 in particular believe in what they call a dark father, but I have a belief to my bones that this is not the same dark father you and I revere.
What kind of dark father would the werewolves have?
One of them ran off a list of names. They seem to worship maybe many dark fathers, perhaps facets of a singular one. Lord of Chaos, Lord of the Beast, so on and so forth. Personally, to me, it doesn't matter. It's not Cain. So any dark father, besides Cain, is false and corrupt.
An inferior dark father for an inferior creature?
Yes. Wise words. Wise words. However, considering their talent for combat, and that they possess a preternatural edge in that matter, I've taken the route of diplomacy, seeing as that they are willing to deal with us. They currently reside in a location that is under my protection. It also helps the fact that they've become disaffected with Mr. Knox. They seem to be under the impression that Knox will betray them at some time and in the future. Personally, at the moment, I'm trying to secure a deal with them, a pact of non-aggression, if you will. So long as they do not aid Nox against us, then we have no reason to quarrel.
If you require a diplomat for such situations, it is one of those things in which I am proficient at. If he requires the assistance, of course.
I would always welcome the assistance. The issue is that, how do I put this? I'm not very keen on exactly what their tastes are. As I said, there's two of them. One of them, this Adam fellow, he likes the women a lot. His appetites seem to be very pedestrian, very primal. He can be plied with that, but there's something in his eyes that tell me at any point he could snap. Not like he's crazy, but it'll only go so far. His, I suppose, lover, for lack of a better term, this Layla. Now that one I believe is firmly the brains of their operation. This woman is, how do I say this? If she's not sanctified as one, I believe her to be a priestess, for sure. She practices arts and rituals that are unknown to me, ones that I'm not familiar with, but I can tell she's a true believer in whatever blasphemous rites she practices.
Interesting. Have they made any demands of us?
Demands? No. No demands. However, there is an offer on the table. There is a particular gentleman who is the property of another ductus of the city. They want that person. It actually comes to mind I should speak with Lady Nice on the matter. It's a very complicated issue. I advise Lady Nice that it would be in the sect's best interest if we could secure this pact of non-aggression with them, so that we may take a more forceful approach to Nox. However, to capitulate to any sort of demands, if they begun to negotiate with us for one of our property now, they may think they can do so again in the future. And that is not an ongoing negotiation that I would ever advise any of us to be a part of. With respect to Lady Nice's right to her property and being a sister in the Sabbat, I leave it in her hands. Should she choose to keep her property, I would rightly defend her to do so. But I can't deny that she holds a very potent chip in this game that we're playing.
Sorry, I got messaged.
It's okay. Don't worry.
She just nods and definitely doesn't seem to know much about this. It is a very tense situation. If they're anything like the lupines I heard about, then they could tear us apart in an instant. It would make negotiating with them difficult because they would try to use that to their advantage.
Mm-hmm. Of course. Of course. But that is why I'm formulating a secondary plan. It's not going to be quick. It's not going to be easy. Everything will hinge on us working in the shadows and taking it step by step. It's the long con, the long war, but I believe there's enough of us, and enough of us that have the aptitude to make this happen. Again, let me start from the beginning about Megadon. There is something insidious about them. When our agent infiltrated the place, she found many symbols that reflected chaos, serpents, things that, well, naturally don't appear in a corporate office. I mean, usually you might find like a Buddhist statue or one of those teamwork hanging kitty posters, whatever it is, but no. What's going on with inside their walls, I believe, if I must take a guess, that this company is under the influence of supernatural powers that may be just more than Canite. So, however, just like any company, they have stocks, they have interests, they have monies, they have investors. They have to keep their operation going, correct?
Yes.
Then, we disrupt their operation. We bring down Megadon through its very own power. Money. We disrupt their flow of money. We unbalance their... How do I put this? We stain and mire their public image. We run them out of town. Legally. Well, by illegal means, but for the mortal eyes.
I think that is a solid plan. If we were to try to actually fight them, it would be suicide. Turn the entire city against them and, well, I suppose they're as good as dead.
There is a few leads. Well, there's one lead in particular I've been working on. One that I know already, its outcome, but there are details that we could use. Mr. Knox had ordered the death of a junior CEO that worked for the company, Mr. Darrell Wesley. I've been working on this case for a while, but personal information concerning Darrell Wesley has been hard to come by. If you'd like to help, I would recommend starting with that. There's a certain detective on the police force that, well, we have a very cool relationship, but I'm warming him up to me. He wants to find and put to justice the killer of Darrell Wesley. Since I already know who did it, who ordered it, it's a matter of connecting the dots, finding this irrefutable proof to dissuade the trumped-up alibi of Mr. Knox. If we could find out more on Darrell Wesley, if we can pinpoint a motive, if we could put the pieces together in the puzzle, we could at least get the cops to do half of the job for us.
Interesting. I think I may be able to help with these cops. If there is one thing I'm good at, it is manipulating our cattle. And, well, as long as they like women, I believe it will be in the bag.
I do hope so. I hope it is that easy. We'll need every trick in the bag that we can possibly muster. Yes. There are still some things that have come across my desk. It's just, well, I wouldn't recommend them to you until at least I know that it is safe to ask you to go venturing down that route.
Of course, I will. For now, I will find you people to talk to. I will talk to people, and we'll see what we can get up. But what we can gather.
There's also, well, as I've said, there are wars. That's just the first. There's one more situation that's coming to a head. It actually doesn't affect us here in Montreal, but it's a little too close for comfort. In a town next door to us, Maryville. Well, I heard from this pack called the Scorpions. Their ductus had informed me there is a mage. I'm not really sure what they are, but this mage has kidnapped the Archbishop of Maryville, a member of my clan no less. There is in the works a war party to take down this mage and liberate the Archbishop. That is a war now that I can appreciate. A direct conflict, the enemy and the goal is clear.
Are you going to be joining the war party?
You see Jacob smile. You're damn right I will.
She smiles as well. Well, do you know when you'll be leaving?
I'm waiting on word from Father Duchesne. He will be the acting war priest.
Well, here's an interesting agreement. I will go and I will find you some information, and I will hope to dig up some dirt on this man. And in return, perhaps you would be willing to assist me in finding a pack.
But of course, we are brothers and sisters in Cain. It is my noble duty to assist my brothers and sisters where I can. I'm, how much there is going on, all of this, and I do barely know you, Varya. Please, let us get out of this alley. Tell me about yourself. Where have you come from? What brings you to Montreal?
Well, like I said, I am mostly here on a pilgrimage. I was interested in meeting with the widows, as they're considered paragons in their particular form of persuasion. As for myself, I am from Ukraine, a fairly small town, not much of note, I'm afraid. I'm recently coming from the city of New York, I believe it's called. Yes, New York in America.
Oh yeah? I'm from New York too. Haven't been there in a while. I've been bopping around the East Coast for a minute.
Really? I did not know there were many Sabbat in New York. I was trailing a man and he led me there.
I came into the blood shortly after the loss of New York. But my mortal life, yes, I lived in New York then.
Interesting. How long have you been a Canaanite?
Oh, for about some, is it 8, 9 years perhaps? It seems that I'm losing track of time already. The endless night as it goes on. I barely pick up the newspapers anymore. How about yourself? When have you come into the blood?
I'm afraid it was, how long ago? She sort of pauses to think for a moment. Sort of, you can tell she's doing some math in her head. It must have been 10 years ago. 5, I embraced my child. Then we came to America. Yes, I think somewhere around then.
You have sired already. That is a beautiful thing. I'm taking my time with my child. She's being groomed first as my ghoul.
Uh, my child caught my attention the first day I met him. Still very, very human. It's unfortunate, but I'm hoping to teach him better. I have somebody who I suppose I can consider a surrogate child. I adopted him into the Sabbat from New York, actually.
Jacob nods approvingly. That is good. We Sabbat have a tendency not to reach out to each other. I can tell you this, Varya, about Montreal. It is different from many other Sabbat domains. There's more camaraderie here, I feel, than in other places I have been. To me, this is a city worth fighting for. And a knight as myself, well, it's kind of what we look for.
You're a knight.
Yes. Honorable accord at your service. You yourself said that you are on a pilgrimage. Have you found yourself a path?
I'm afraid not. It is very difficult to choose. My skill set I have considered Cathari, but I'm unsure. None of them have really resonated with me yet.
Mm, mm. Before I was Ductus of the Apex, I was Father Burns. I served as a priest. I'm serving as Ductus now until we can rehabilitate our former Ductus. Being a priest has always resonated with me, I suppose. So, if it is in your interest to find a priest to speak with, I will gladly serve as your priest until you find yourself a path.
I would appreciate. And you'll hear her phone go off, and she'll sort of glance at it, and she'll just like mutter, just like "Bolje moi." I am sorry, Mr. Burns, but my child appears to have fucked something up, and I must go deal with that. Sorry, I'm being called away.
No, it's all right. It's all right. Jacob will exchange phone numbers with you, and just tell you at any time you need to speak on matters temporal or spiritual. Give me a call.
She smiles and takes it before giving him hers as well, and she says, "Likewise, I am happy to help. You seem like an excellent K-Knight."
Thank you. May your night be long and everlasting.
And yours as well. Dark Father's blessing upon you, Mr. Burns.
Cain's blessing upon you. Varya.
And with the two K-Knights parting ways in a friendly manner, I believe that's where we can end our scene.
Yes, we can. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching. Please tune in again to see where this all goes. You have yourselves a good night.
Bye.